is it? Oh, yeah. Oh, let me try something. So I'm gonna try to record something real quick. Fine. Whether you feel it or not in this moment, you are amazing. And all the people in this video would love to meet you, learn from you, love you. You are amazing. That is audio off. This needs to go audio off. All right. This needs to go to Periscope. I'm on track today with timing, man. Look at me. All right. Hello, Melissa. I am, 2 minutes away. My goodness. Let me change the angle slightly here. So we've got a little bit more of my head. Yes, all of my head. Why not? Yes, it makes total sense. All right, let me have a little water. Don't have a printer working here, so I've got notes all over the place. My apologies if it gets to be annoying. And who else is here right now? Josina is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you're here, Melissa. Okay, I think I'm okay here. And it's 1 o'clock. Perfect. Get that going and not be on camera. Oops. Oh, man. Organization. Oh, what a pain. Okay. All right. There we go. Ah. All right. Welcome. Oh, we are live in the Google Hangout. We are live on Periscope, and we are recording the archive in high def audio and visual for the archive. So welcome, everyone. Before we go deep, let's just take a moment and get present. Let's just close your eyes for a second, tune into your body. Feel the temperature on your skin. Feel your weight in your chair. Notice the sounds you can hear, my voice, as well as any rumblings or chirpings or anything, and try to just to hear the pitch and tone without labeling it or trying to visualize it. Just notice tone and pitch and being aware of vibration that is being received by your eardrum. Shifting out of the narrative, the story that you're in, and shifting to an observation, presence. Nothing you need to do or be. Simply allow. Thank you, universe, for the gift of this now moment and all our blessings. Help us to appreciate. Give us love and joy so we may spread love and joy in the world. Amen. Or amen. 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 And a woman. Amen. Welcome. Welcome. It is Hug Nation. I'm Halcyon. It is such a joy to spend this time with you. Today, I want to talk a little bit about Burning Man. There was recently a podcast with Maid Marion where she discussed all sorts of aspects of the Burning Man organization and plans and recent rumors and crises. And I was so impressed. It was so beautiful. Her language and her demeanor and her explanations were just so poetic and gorgeous and got me so inspired and excited. With one little exception, it's something that I've talked about a little bit in the past. It's something that keeps coming up. And I've been really pleased with how the organization has been addressing and dealing with certain aspects of the plug and play camps. The concern, as some people simply pay a lot of money to show up and be treated to a high-end exclusive experience on the playa, almost like you show up for a tour, like a safari, and you get to watch the animals run around and they supply you with all of your gear, and it's not quite the level of participation that allows the experience to be so transformative. But that's not really what I have a huge issue with. There's a specific aspect that I'm struggling with, which is that of paid labor on playa. Maid Marion said that it wouldn't be possible for center camp to exist without people who are paid to construct it. She is just simply not able to physically, and her campmates do not have the resources or the time because they're running so many other aspects of Burning Man. And I struggle because what is the line there? What is the line with paid labor on playa? Now, I'm not saying that we should not have professionals doing things. There is an absolute need with the growth of Burning Man to have vendors and suppliers and people who empty the porta potties and who bring in water for big theme camps and who supply ice and who the people that water down the roads, and we have law enforcement and we have emergency services who are professionals, and there's this certain aspect of employees, people who are not participants. They are paid vendors and employees who are on playa in the role of worker. I understand how that's necessary, and I think that the growth of Burning Man requires it. The challenge I have is in people who are paid employees on playa and participants. I'm not talking about being paid in advance, and maybe it gets tricky, so let me try to specifically say what I mean. If you hire someone to make a costume for you before the event, I'm fine with that. If you are a chef and you pre-make meals for people and people hire in advance and they come pick them up, or maybe even they pick them up on playa, but you did all that labor in advance, I'm fine with that. If you want to buy and sell goods in any manner before you get to Burning Man, that's part of what our culture is. But once you're there, I expect everyone there to be gifting, to be radical self-reliant in one way or another, and that what you are providing there is done so from a place of love. I'm not saying that everybody should contribute in the same way. I'm not saying that some people shouldn't contribute more money while others contribute more labor. I think I'm saying that if you cannot create whatever it is that you want to create without either separate paid labors or volunteer efforts, then you should scale back. I'm fine with a much less grandiose Burning Man as long as we know that what is there is done from the heart. The thing that was the most profoundly mind-blowing for me is when first day at Burning Man, I saw the scale of it, which you can never be prepared for. And I was like, whoa! And the people who I knew there, I could not grasp. I'm like, who makes this stuff? Well, participants. Well, who pays the participants? Nobody. So, and that shift that happens when you realize the people who are toiling and sweating and spending their time that they could be having fun, working and volunteering and laboring to build the city, are no different than me. That is what make the shift for me. And many people, that's what go, oh my gosh, I want to contribute. I want to give back. I want to be a part of this. There's all sorts of ways that people, and labor is needed in advance. I totally understand that the DPW needs to be compensated for all the time they spend in advance building the city. And I understand there's tons of roles like that. But once we have this category of paid labor and participant, someone who is, some of the things they're doing there, they're being paid to do, and some of the things they're doing there, they're having fun and enjoying the event. Then you have this separate category of person, pro burner. And then what makes someone a pro burner and someone else not a pro burner? People that do, is my theme camp good enough that the leadership in my theme camp should get paid? Do I not deserve to be paid for all that I put into Burning Man? And that's when it starts eroding. Because when people get that sand in the ointment, it poisons things. And people go, well, whoa, what kind of a chump am I that I just put all this time gifting to my camp and gifting to the city when the guy who's the chef at that camp got paid to be here? And their camp is cool. There's lots of cool people. I bet if I hung out in their camp, I'd have a blast and I would be getting paid. Why don't the artists get paid? What is the line? And for me, I don't think we've come out on the right side of this yet. If, for example, Center Camp was an example of it could not be built without paid laborers, awesome. But the paid laborers should be paid laborers, and maybe that is the case. I don't know how it works. But you can't have people on staff that are on site, that are on the clock sometimes and then off the clock other times. Because everyone there is contributing some aspect of their labor as a gift, as volunteerism. And once we make a line of, well, if you do this much, then you get paid for your work, all of a sudden that line gets scary. There are people in my camp, God bless Stilt Ladder. The guy worked insane amount of hours. You know, he was there early arrival and worked, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, from the sun up till way past most people had gone to bed, trying to get all of our camp things built to the level that he thought was enough. Did he get paid? No, but Burning Man and Black Rock City depends on the heroics of people who just gush with love for the city and want to build it and make it and contribute to it. Whether it's at a camp level, whether it's at a tent level, whether it's at a city level. And creating a job for a professional burner within that system makes all those heroes start to feel like chumps. Now, there are very kind of tricky aspects within this scenario. For example, let's say I have a camp that has huge ambitious plans and we've realized we have to get it done, we need this kind of budget. And there's a bunch of people in the camp that are willing to spend a lot of money to make it happen. And there's other people in the camp that are willing to put in a lot of labor. Is it okay to say, make the camp dues $1,000 and some people in the camp get a ticket paid for and get their dues weighed? So in essence get like, you know, a $1,300 stipend? I think yes. I think as a collective group, this camp has decided what they want to create. And they've decided that participation takes many forms. And everyone there, however, while on playa, is contributing as a volunteer out of love. Does that make sense in that subtle difference there? Which is different from somebody saying, hey, you know, if you are a camp chef, we're going to pay your ticket, pay you a certain amount of money, knowing that you're giving up your job for the week or something like that. And that's something that came up in the Maid Marion interview. It's like, well, these people often are giving up their employment. And again, I'm okay with people being laborers in advance. I'm okay with people actually being paid for their labor in early arrival. If a camp with massive ambitions has a labor force of paid, electricians and plumbers and engineers that are building as vendors or as employees, as non-participants, I think there's a way to make that work. But once the event starts, they're either vendors and workers, or they are participants. And if that means that some of the camps have to scale down, awesome. I'm also okay that if that means that center camp, for it to work, a certain aspect of the, well, maybe that already is the case, that a certain amount of ticket fees go towards the laborers that build center camp. I'm fine with that, as long as those laborers are not, the people who are also participating, as burners during the week, but just, at the end of their romping around, go back to their jobs on Playa. Because now I'm repeating myself, but when I know that what's making this magic city run is love and passion and a desire to give to each other, that's what makes the gifting magic amazing. That's what makes us start to believe that, wow, maybe the world can work differently. I still believe the world can work differently. I know the world works differently. I just want to make sure we kind of clean out the sand in the ointment, clean out this rough patch in our definitions, so that we can all go back to knowing that we're all contributing. There's no one that's slyly getting paid on the side while the rest of us are sweating our balls off. Not that you don't deserve it. It's not about that. But if you're not willing to do it from love, don't do it. After every year at Burning Man, I'm involved with a conversation where somebody is frustrated and angry because they feel like some people in our camp didn't participate at the level of others. And I always have to have this conversation that's not the expectation. We can never expect everybody to give at the same level. That doesn't mean that the people that give more, we pay them. It means we say thank you, we appreciate them, we raise them up onto a pedestal and say, you are a hero, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that appreciation is the fuel. And anybody that is not willing to participate at that level should find the level that they are willing to participate from joyfully. That's the difference between a job and what Burning Man is. You're not doing it because you find an equal exchange of appreciation or money or whatever. You're doing it because this magical extra bonus feeling you get. I want to protect the bonus feeling. I don't want to feel like a chump. As much as I would love to make a living being a burner, I think there's other ways to do that. And maybe that's a topic for another time. Thank you. I love you. I'll see you at home. Let's have a hug. Grab yourself by the shoulders. And let's just appreciate this body, whether you're sweating your balls off or your breasts off. Appreciate this body and all the places it sweats. And appreciate the roles that we play, whether it's professionals or volunteers or Republicans or socialists or whatever those roles are. Let's let go of them for a second. Just feel this body. Know that we are a living, conscious being with love and light shining through us, just like there's love and light shining through everyone. When we're free from our stories, free from our labels, we are all alike. We are all perfect, beautiful cells in a massive cosmic organism. Let's just take 3 breaths, not as our identities or our roles or even as this physical body, just breathing as part of this oneness, as part of this light and love that shines through all the living things in the world. Ready? Inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. Ready? On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the love warriors, happy Hug Nation. Thank you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Did that make sense, what I said? Felt like it as I was saying it. Who knows? Laura says, I give up my employment to volunteer pre-burn. I don't get paid and I don't expect to. Exactly. Yeah, the ice sure is nice to be able to not plan on a elaborate dry ice plan to get you through 10 days. Bridie, you mentioned center camp, and I know that that's something that gets your goat. To me, for some reason, it doesn't fully, because those that work there are volunteers. Although I've heard bad stories of people kind of, fishing for tips and stuff in a way that is a little less beautiful. And I don't see why coffee is needed. Like there's so many people that would love to gift coffee. It just doesn't. You're right. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't bother me necessarily, but it just doesn't make sense. Why pollute an idea that works so beautifully? All right, because I can't tell how fast to take the hangout is so difficult sometimes. Let's see if there's things that I wanted to mention that I didn't. Yeah, I think that's probably good enough. One thing I was thinking about the center camp thing, I'm like, does center camp not think that people would volunteer to help build it? I don't get it. Like, aren't there people that would love to help build center camp and first camp, where all the Larry Harveys and stuff hang out? We have just begun the month of Movember. Movember is the month where we try to, the Movember organization focuses on education and awareness around prostate cancer, testicular cancer, poor mental health, and physical inactivity, issues that plague men. It is the month after the October Pink Month of breast cancer awareness. And I think it's really important. I think it's encouraging how much dialogue goes on around breast cancer. And there's very little that goes on around men's health issues. Prostate cancer is massive. It is, and I don't mean the actual cancer itself is physically massive. I mean, prostate cancer hits many, many men. In fact, I've heard that on a long enough timeline, it will hit all men. And then it's just a matter of how and when you decide to treat it, or if. So just getting men to look at and address and think about ideas of men's health and getting checked up and having self-diagnosis. And if anybody wants to practice by inspecting my genitals, I would just like to say, buy me dinner first. But, after a few drinks, you'd be surprised what I would let people do with my testicles. So happy Movember. I am not on a Movember team this year. There's Movember.com does gets men into teams, and they grow a mustache all month as a way to kind of start the dialogue. And last year my brother was on a team and I pledged them, and I'm actually looking for a team to pledge now because I am not going to grow one. I started to grow one, and my beloved said, "You look creepy enough without a mustache." And I have to agree that there's some truth to that. So I will be metaphorically growing my stash and putting the word out and trying to support those that are celebrating Movember or honoring Movember. And I hope that everyone takes a moment to inform themselves a little bit more about the issues that affect men. I talked to somebody who was where was it? Was at some event and crossed paths with somebody, and they said, "Oh, I know somebody that goes to Burning Man. They bring out this like portable shower thing there, and they make a killing." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Well, I know they're not supposed to, but you know, they just." I was like, "Wow, you're talking to the wrong guy if you think I'm gonna go, oh, cool, right on. They made that's awesome." I was like, and then I think like once I actually now I remember because I was like totally not giving him the response he wanted. He's like, "Oh, they donate all the money. They get donations and then they give it to charity." I'm like, okay. I'm not going to talk about why that still doesn't really work. Oops, I missed that comment. I don't like that about Periscope, that it just flashes and you miss it so quickly. Well, I had every once in a while, I will say something that somebody finds quotable. And every once in a while, someone will share it online and I'll see a quote that I said. And I just saw this week someone posted a quote that apparently I said 3 years ago, because it's one of those time hop, reposts. And I said, "The greatest gift we can give to anyone is to expect them to be amazing." And it was so good for me to hear that reminder. I can often fall into the trap of thinking that worry or concern is an expression of love. And pointing out things that somebody should be doing better or trying to think through problems that they might have is a way of me showing my care. When in fact the opposite can be the case, that if you love someone, you have faith in them, you believe in them, and you believe that the experiences that they have and will have, and the struggles and the falls and the challenges is all part of their journey, and you believe in them. You have faith that they can handle it. And in fact, you know they're going to come out awesome. I had that experience yesterday. Belicious, my beloved, has been working very hard on this photo shoot that she's been organizing and planning with photographers and models and many moving pieces, locations. And she is a makeup artist, bringing in hair people, and but she's also the whole visionary for the shoot and producer of it all. And I knew that she was going to rock it. She even said the day before, she says, she was like manic preparing for it. She's like, "This is kind of like my Black Rock City. This is my Pink Heart Camp." And I totally got it, because she was in the zone. She was in the flow. She was so excited. And then the morning that was happening, I just, I told her, I'm like, you're going to rock this. You have done all the preparations. This is just your opportunity to let your light shine and let your talent shine, let your love shine. And I knew it. And then at the end of the day, she reported back and just told me how incredible it went out. Everybody there was like, "Oh, this was so great. This is the best you've ever been on it." All these just people had a blast and loved it. And I saw the photos today and I was like, oh my, incredible work. Beautiful models. Everything was just like incredible. And it was this beautiful reminder to see that quote and to remember how I acted before and after and what I was thinking and believed during, and know that that is what love looks like, not worry or concern. not fear wrapped up in a story of what they think love is. Love is expecting someone to be amazing. Well, I certainly expect you to be amazing. Thank you for sharing your light. I believe in you. I love you. I hope the lighting is working today. I did all this planning and setup to organize to set up the cameras in this new location. And then the weather, I don't have lights here today. I just have exterior, natural light. And it was super sunny yesterday. And so I had to make all these plans about how I would deflect all the light and put down dark cloths. And then today it's super overcast, which I think is going to make the lighting better, but it just makes it a little interesting. Oh, another thing about setting up. So I brought all my equipment over to this location to set up, knowing I was going to broadcast from here today. Belicious had her photo shoot, and I wanted to get all my stuff out of there, except for the lights, because I was going to use the natural lights. But as I was setting up here, I was putting the microphone into the microphone holder, and it snapped. The plastic snapped, and I was like, "Ooh!" Okay, what are my choices? And so I started looking online and find out where there's music supply stores, and then I'm like, well, let me just look on Amazon. And what do you know? There was some Amazon availability of the products that I needed, or I thought that was the same products I needed, that was available for same-day delivery. Sunday, same day. So in the morning at 11 o'clock, I placed an order for a mic holder with their promise that it would be there that day. And I was like, okay, I might not have a hoverboard yet, but that's pretty amazing. That's almost as cool as having a 3D printer that could print the same thing. But just saying, I want this, I want it now, I want it today. And so now I was around all day. I'm at a different location, so I don't know exactly how delivery works here. But at about 6 o'clock, I got a phone call that I missed. Turns out that was a delivery person. So it's a delivery by 9. At 9 o'clock, the bar that had been steadily updating all day finally said, whoops, we missed you. And I was like, ugh. But they showed up this morning, and I'm speaking into a microphone at this moment, being held by a microphone holder that was ordered yesterday from Amazon. So my dream of never leaving the house, my dream of never having to go to a mall or ever park my car in a parking lot remains. Speaking of not parking in a parking lot, there was a beautiful article that I just saw about the future of self-driving cars. And it said, yes, we're going to lose 10,000 jobs from all the people that are involved in taxis and driving and delivery. But here are the other things that are going to happen that are going to be awesome. And it talked about how massively reduced the number of cars we'd need to have. I'm talking about like by 2025, because cars are only used something like 7% of the time. So you would reduce the amount of cars needed by like 80, 90%, something like that. I'm sure there's math that could tell you exactly, but I don't know. Which means that there would not be traffic anymore. There would be no traffic jams. Also, because the driving would be smart, it would avoid traffic jams. And there wouldn't even need to be parking. You would not have street parking, because cars would simply let you off and then keep going. And they would stay in circulation except when they're charging. So you would free up 2 more lanes all over the place. So suddenly I'm starting to get a sense of how much the world changes when you take out the process and the phenomenon and the pattern that we have of owning a car that we then take places and park there and do our things, look for parking, walk around, and like the amount of time that would be saved by having these fleets, much fewer fleets, dropping us off and picking us up, The cost would be way less. I just started going like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know what? I don't need a hoverboard. I just want my self-driving car that never makes it so that I never have to parallel park again. But there's all sorts of cool things that are coming up as far as like the ethics of it. Like there are scenarios when a driver, whether it's a robot or a human, has to decide, am I going to kill the passengers in my car or that person that just jumped in front of the car? Like, am I going to swerve off this bridge to avoid that person that jumped in front of me, or am I going to run them over? To which my answer is always run over the pedestrian. I think that's even on the DMV. I think that's like one of those, Scantron A, B, C, D. It's like answer D, always run over the pedestrian. So take that how you want, robot car overlords. You don't get the no traffic jams. The times the traffic jams are the percentage of times they're being used. But the intelligence that goes into driving, and the massive problem with traffic jams is not the number of cars in the road. It's the delays, and like it's the people getting on and off, and if there was a intelligence that governed the cars, and there was a carpooling maybe aspect to it, I don't know all, but you would merge perfectly. There would not be a hitting of the brakes as somebody merged. It would be poetic and beautiful. It would be like a bloodstream. The singularity, man, I'm telling you. As long as I stop afterwards, no hit and run. Well, okay, I guess that's fair. Well, actually, that's up to the robot car. If I stop after I hit him, that's, take that up with Uber or Google or whoever is running the robot cars. As long as I get, well, actually, I'm not going to be in a robot car because I'm going to have all my things delivered to my house. So I'm going to have, like, instead of going to the Grand Canyon, I'm just going to have a drone with a high-def camera cruise through the canyon and live feed video to my high def, and so I will experience all of nature's grandeur from my laptop or my VR goggles. I guess that's more accurate. Okay, maybe there's a problem with that plan, which is another topic I was going to touch on. I listened to a Robert Anton Wilson. I listened to a Robert. I listened to a Robert Anton Wilson lecture, and it was titled "The Map is Not the Territory," which is not a concept that he originated, but I love this idea. The map is not the territory. It's something that I talk about often when I'm explaining Burning Man to people. I spend a lot of energy making videos about Burning Man and helping people prepare for Burning Man, but I try to be very clear, like, whoa, the map is not the territory. This is only going to give you a framework for which to understand the experience once it happens. It is nothing like the experience. You can read up on the Grand Canyon for years. You can look at picture books of it. You can watch videos, but it is nothing like the experience of looking out over the edge. However, having a map, having an understanding, having a context for it can shift your experience of it so that you get it in a more profound way. Knowing that a river over time created this grand chasm doesn't minimize any of the awe that you experience. In fact, it may actually heighten it as you start to comprehend the history, the story, the incomprehensible time frames. So the map in that scenario gives you a context that heightens your awe, heightens the experience, but is nothing like the experience. That is so critical for an appreciation and understanding of life. So many times and in so many scenarios, we get so connected and so caught up in the map that we lose the intimacy, the profoundness of the territory. There's that Buddhist line, don't mistake the finger for the moon. You know, that a great teacher or Buddhism is like a finger that's pointing you to the moon. It's giving you a direction from which to direct your attention. But do not mistake the finger for the moon. The point is to grasp the moon. I think it was Alan Watts that even said that in the United States that we actually suck on that finger. We get so obsessed with the finger. So yeah, so I'm not going to go to Burning Man anymore. Exactly. I'm going to send a drone. Brady says that he understood getting it when I saw the Eiffel Tower. I thought I knew all the facts about it, had seen it in photographs, movies, and documentaries. But then when you're there, it just like blew your mind. I've never seen the Eiffel Tower. Time is at 1:40. Yeah. Oh, you know, I had a confession to make. I've been making big claims, big talks about check your sources and don't spread stories that you haven't checked. And I was getting ready to spread one today. And when I went to go look up the quote that I wanted to check, I saw that it was false, and Snopes had said that this is not true. The satire that I almost fell for was that Yelp was suing South Park for their episode that they made where they were very critical of Yelp. And I actually went like, the article was very funny. It said that the Trey Parker and their quote was like, we've looked over all the legal documents and, you know, we give their whole legal team 1 star, you know. So it was fun. And it seemed like that's the kind of thing that they would do in response to a lawsuit. So I believed it. And we actually went and watched the episode because I wanted to see what it was all about. Then when I was getting ready to share it with you, I learned that I got caught. So I'm glad that I did not become a re-spreader of falsehoods. Well, Snopes usually, I would challenge you to find a place where Snopes is outright wrong. They usually, you know, source the things that they're talking about when they're talking about a rumor or something. I think they do a really good job. That's not to say that you can look up something online and see it addressed in Snopes in a bunch of places, and you can see, you know, yes, there's many people talking about this. Oh, look at that, it's getting bright. So I'm glad that I did set up the things like I did. Oops. Oops. Okay, one thing else I was going to share. If you are one that is going to go or thinking of going to the Lucidity Festival in Santa Barbara, it's next April. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. You can get a slight discount on your ticket if you use the code Halcyon. I get a little bit of money too that I use towards Pink Heart camp stuff that we do at Lucidity. But there's like 100 super cheap tickets. Those will be gone before you can get through. Then they have early birds that are a good deal, and those the discount will apply. So if you're thinking about it, very excited to go, and let me know if you want to be a camp with Pink Heart while you're there. The Los Angeles decompression is happening in 2 weekends. First Saturdays is this weekend if you're in San Diego. Anything else? There's a movie that just came out about Salvation Mountain and Leonard Knight. Somebody recommended that I see it, so we'll plan on talking about that in a future episode if anybody wants to I think it's a $12 rental right now. If you're curious, I can look into that. Oh yeah, the 2016 theme, Da Vinci's Workshop, which I have not done a ton of reading up on what their terminology and explanation for that was, but I think it's a cool idea. It seems like people are talking as if the drawing that they have of the Burning Man rotating is the actual plan, which kind of blows my mind. That sounds shockingly dangerous and ambitious, which I guess defines Burning Man. I wonder what Da Vinci's Workshop lends itself to as far as art and such. Probably like steampunky kind of things, cool technology that make with wood and gears. Lots of people with making fake wings and helicopters out of wood. Or, no, I was thinking of Michelangelo. I don't know. I'm just gonna dress like David. Let's see. Anybody else got something on their mind right now that needs some attention or addressing, or want to share something that you got going on in your life? It has still been super warm here in San Diego. It is like, I mean, right now it's overcast, which has been a treat, but it's like freaky deaky. You know, Halloween Day I went for a walk with B at noon on Halloween Day, and it was just like super hot. My tender sensibilities, it gives me the vapors. Kind of feel like I don't know what to do. Innovation in the whole Renaissance movement, says Laura. That's a good angle on it. Whole get a whole Ren Fair kind of vibe going there. That'd be fun. The Los Angeles DCOM deadline for applications was actually Saturday night, and so Pink Heart did not put anything in. So we're gonna just set up a meeting time if you're gonna be there, that we'll all hang out and maybe have a hug, but we're not gonna actually put together a structure or anything. It was kind of hard to figure out how they were, because it's involved with several warehouses, and so I had a hard time figuring out how they wanted Think Camps to participate. Maybe that was my fault for not looking into it more. Freestyle, you've been out without caffeine and Facebook for around a month? Whoa! I've been without caffeine for 12 seconds. 0 seconds. But good for you. In fact, maybe that's what I need to see right now, because I have been, not about the caffeine, but about Facebook. I've been very aware how much time and energy I am dumping into Facebook lately. And I really need to get a handle on that so that I can start to be putting energy into projects that are important to me. So, point taken, thank you. Bridie just asked, I've seen a few things about people saying some Halloween costumes, say sexy Native Americans or Mexicans, is disrespectful to their culture. And not only that, I heard a number of people say that the video I put up last week about sexy costumes was actually pretty off base. And the more I sat with it and listened to what people said, the more I think agree that I was not thinking entirely clearly about it, and that I was giving credit to people, that the sexy costumes was an opportunity for people who feel like they're not allowed to be sexy, that Halloween was an opportunity, and that you're not a slut, you know, you're a sexual freedom fighter. But what several women reflected back to me was like, dude, do you know what it's like to shop for a costume for women? It's not an opportunity to be sexy, it is an expectation. Even for kids, that the expectation for you to be sexy on Halloween is harsh and grating, and everything that's wrong with our gender roles in our culture. And I hadn't thought about it in that way, and I think that there's actually a pretty significant point to be made there. And so I kind of backpedaled and had not been promoting that video like I maybe thought I was going to for Halloween. Because, well, yes, I think it can be fun to celebrate your sexiness, but to feel like I don't know what it's like to feel that kind of pressure, and I certainly don't know what it's like to bring my teen or younger daughter to go costume shopping and feel like, oh my gosh, all her choices are to be a sex object. Guys get to be, adventurers and gross ghouls, and women, girls, have to be sexy whatever. Yeah, it's not as fun and cool as I said. So my apologies. As far as the insensitive cultural costumes, I gotta say that I agree that we need to be more sensitive as a culture. And I think that we need to do it in a way, or find a way to do it where the dialogue allows for it to be a dialogue. The same is true with, people wearing war bonnets or Indian headdresses to festivals and things. I'm exposed to this dialogue so often that to me it seems obvious. It would be crazy for me to wear a feather headdress to a festival or a concert or Burning Man. I mean, I would expect to get pummeled. But I see people doing it all the time. And in fact, I saw some on Facebook on Halloween. I saw a friend of mine wearing a Pocahontas costume, and I was like, I mean, unless you are Native and I don't know it, somebody's going to be offended by that. And as a group, we need to just be sensitive. If things are rubbing people the wrong way, I think culturally we need to try to be aware of that. Initially I used to use the word, that's so gay. And when people said that's insensitive, I'm not talking about gay people, or you pussy. I'm like, I'm not talking about women. I'm like, oh, but if I'm using it as a derogatory term, I'm making an association that is negative to that person, or a person that would be labeled that. And I think the same kind of can come true to a Halloween costume that we make two-dimensional and cartoonish. We put someone's heritage into a box and a category that also robs it of its richness and becomes, it reduces our ability to respect one another. And so, whether that is, like a Mexican in a sombrero and, bandoliers, like someone says, that's a stereotype, or an Indian, or, and some are worse. Some are like, whoa, that's offensive all the way around. And some of them are just like, it's so two-dimensional that it disrupts our cultural path towards respecting one another. So I'm all for becoming aware and educating one another about anything that causes someone to feel uncomfortable. That being said, I think that we need to do it in a way with compassion, and we can't be angry at somebody, because then these walls come up and now we don't have progress. We build up the walls and we build up people's resentment, and man, they got whatever. There was a incident at Utopia where there was a bar called, they were actually kind of highlighting this whole phenomenon that was called the Angry Brown Girl Bar, saying that, if you speak up and you are a woman of color, you immediately get labeled angry. Some people that were camping with me, they brought with them as gifts cut fruit in the form of a bunch of melons, and they also had a meat and cheese tray. But they had these cut melons that they were handing out right in front of the Angry Brown Girl Bar, and the people at that bar were like, "Hey, knock it off! That's offensive. This is a brown girl bar, and you're serving watermelon in front of us." And these people were like, now the correct response would have been, "Oh, okay, sorry," and be like, wow, they're pretty sensitive. But what they said was, "Whoa, let's just take our blackface and get out of here," which just enraged the people at the bar. And suddenly, instead of having this vehicle for communication and avoiding it in the future, we had both sides feeling like really shook up and heated and disrupted by the exchange. And I talked to both of them, and I understand where both of their perspectives were, but anytime we're trying to shift the line away from what is culturally accepted now towards a more evolved state, I think we have to wrap it with some kid gloves and softness and compassion, because people are going to get bristled up and react. And to avoid the reaction becoming a harsh wall, we have to be extra kind and soft and warm. So I'm late into the costume. Someone said 23-year-old daughter made a swamp monster costume. Awesome. Josina pointed out that one of the big issues with these costumes is when you're dressing up as somebody that has been oppressed. I think it maybe strengthens or intensifies the separation. You know, this is an object. This is not an equal person. This is a character, a toy, not a valid equal or peer in the eyes of the table of the world. You're not offered a seat at the table, you're at the pet and the kids' table. Laura's saying that not all Native Americans are offended by headdresses, not all Christians are offended by drunk Jesus costumes. And that's true. And I certainly don't mean to say that we should set the bar so that if anyone is offended by anything, that we should stop doing it. I just think that we need to be aware that what we think is offensive isn't the guideline that we need to use, that we need to be aware of what other people find offensive. I mean, I saw so many costumes that seem to be offensive. Like I saw a bunch of, Caitlyn Jenner costumes. And so what is an appropriate and an inappropriate way to have a Caitlyn Jenner costume? If you do it as woman Caitlyn Jenner and it's an homage to her, that's probably okay. If you do it as young Bruce Jenner, is that okay? I saw one where someone was half and half. Olympian Bruce Jenner and female Bruce Jenner. It's like, I gotta figure that someone's gonna be offended by that if you wear that to a party. I know another couple, or knew of another couple that the couple was a black man and a white woman that were married, and they went both as Michael Jackson, as young Michael Jackson and old Michael Jackson. Now, is the fact that they're married, does that make it okay? The fact that old Michael Jackson pretty much looked more like a white woman than he was when he was young, does that make it okay? I'm on the mind that there's so many options. Why would you step into this very murky and dangerous world of offensiveness? And I guess you could argue that's the problem. We're so afraid of offending that then we can't have these conversations. So I actually don't know if there's a right or wrong, but I do think that being open to hearing what people are offended by and being compassionate on both sides of the asking for, hey, this is offensive to me, and both sides need to be soft enough so that we can move our culture forward, not from fear, but with compassion. So we are approaching the 2 o'clock hour. So, well, thank you again for being here. Thanks for contributing your energy and your light to this weekly gathering, whether it is on archive or live in the chat room or live on Periscope. Archives are available on hugnation.com, youtube.com/halcyonstin. It is such a joy to spend this time with you. I feel energized and rejuvenated, and I cannot wait to reconnect with you again online or here or in the timelessness of our hearts. I love you. See you next week.